Hey man, as the pivot was leaving Green Bay, somebody else was arriving. Matt LaFleur walked into our sit down a little bit late and he apologized and said, fellas, it's business. Well, they handled more business yesterday as Micah Parsons became a Green Bay Packer. The NFC North is stacked already. The Detroit Lions are the reigning champs. The Minnesota Vikings, a playoff team. And we all know that the Bears got better. You think that they scared in Green Bay? Listen, Matt LaFleur knows he has Josh Jacobs, knows he has Jay Love at the quarterback position. And now adding Matthew Golden on the outside, they're going to be absolutely explosive. And think about the lessons he's learned. A 28-3 comeback from the New England Patriots when he was the quarterback coach of the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl. Also an NFC championship where he didn't go for it on fourth down in the red zone, just hoping to get the ball back. He's a different coach. But we asked him specifically, what's it going to take for you to win it all? And he said, we need that one. Well, guess what? They got him. And now Micah Parsons with a historic contract, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the league's history by a long shot, he's ready to roll. He brings his quarterback pressures. He brings his sacks to a team that was already stacked. Now sit down, lock in, as Matt LaFleur tells us why the lessons he's learned and the players that he's coaching got everything it takes to win it all.
Hold up, limitless, niggas to me got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On the vision, I can trust. Limitless, niggas to me got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant.
I had a pretty good game against the Packers.
Yeah? What do you call pretty good?
08, I had about 10 tackles.
Okay.
2 third downs. I remember I stopped the screen on third down, but they told me it was coming. They were like, they're going to run a screen on the backside of trips. And I ran through there and made a tackle. And I danced.
You danced here?
I danced in Lambeau.
We trying to get to the
not
field.
Keep popping.
Channing's going to try to do the Lambeau leap.
Why y'all say try? Y'all always try. I'm going to Lambeau leap.
They say you need to get a waiver because you ain't going to make it and we don't want to see you get
Y'all
hurt.
going to catch me at the top?
Waiver saver. Saved your
No,
day.
we're not saving you nowhere.
Sorry, guys.
Hey.
You know, this hair
Coach,
routine
what's up,
takes a
baby?
minute.
What's up, man?
What up, Coach?
Sir.
Hey, the boys got heated
All right,
today.
Coach, good to see you, brother. Yes, sir.
It got hot out there today, Coach.
Honestly, that's a lot of discussions about that today. But I thought it was both sides.
Yeah. No
You
question.
defensive guys, you know?
Is it encouraged? Like, we need some fire today. Do coaches say, all right, come, who's going to rattle us up?
I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
Now, I think some of our assistant coaches might have put gas on the fire a little bit, but it got a little chippy on both you defensive guys, you know? You got to bring that fire, that intensity, and you'd rather have that and try to pull guys back than have to, you know, kick them in the
Right.
Yeah. Coach Tomlin's saying is, I'd rather say woe than sick 'em.
I like that. I might have to steal that.
You got it.
We
He
steal
said-
all the time.
Yeah.
Well, this is Fred Taylor and Ryan Clark, this Channing Crowder, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. Welcome to the Pivot. Man, we're so excited to have you, Pivot fam. Thank y'all for pivoting with us. So we text Raw, right?
Okay.
And we went to Atlanta this year, Coach. And Atlanta, we couldn't move around a lot. They was like, you got to stay right here. Raw had to come get us, say we could move around. So we was like, man, the Packers treated us so much better than
First
you
class organization right here. First class organization.
Down.
And so he said, he's like, ask him what I told him the first time we met.
Oh, yeah. I knew you were going to go there. I knew this was going to come up. No, he was making fun of my eyebrows the first time we met, you know, in typical Raw fashion. So he always going to, you know, bring up and try to make you uncomfortable, but I fired right back at him. But we've been great friends ever since our time together in Washington.
Yeah, he loves you, Coach. We all see you as the coach, right? And you are, like, ultimately calm. I was actually talking about you on the field today.
I'm not very calm.
And you are, but you be chilling, Coach. And the job, you know, you did, especially last year, losing Jordan and the coach. And I was like, I felt like you should have been more of a part of the Coach of the Year conversation. But I was like, he's always deflecting to the rest of his staff and all of his people. So I don't even want to talk about the coach. I want to talk about Mount Pleasant's quarterback. That's what I want to talk about, right? And apparently, Coach, you were that guy, right? They said that you were a leader, You could anticipate things before they happen. Apparently, you had some mobility. So tell me a little bit about the quarterback you were, whether it was at Mount Pleasant or Saginaw Valley, where I think you made them the cardiac cards.
Oh yeah, you've been doing your research.
A little
I
bit,
see.
Coach.
Yeah, definitely an advantage when you grow up and you're around the game. So my dad coached football at Central Michigan for basically his entire career, and I mean, I'll never forget when I was real little. They had this small indoor area. He'd take me to the workouts. He'd take me to practice from the time I was probably like 3-4 years old. So I think you just kind of get used to that lifestyle and being around ball. And then I think there's a lot of natural leadership qualities that come with playing the quarterback position. And fortunately, I was able to learn a lot at a young age from being around guys like yourselves. Hanging out in the locker room. And that's one thing that I really enjoy about this job now is my kids are 12 and 14 and they're coming into the locker room and learning probably about a lot of things that they probably shouldn't learn about. But I think in time it'll do them good.
That changed because it's funny. We talk to college players, then we talk to young guys in the league. You know, we talk to all these players. We talk to Jordan, and it's different football now. Like we were. Put your head down, grind and all, and try to make it. And now these kids are coming in as millionaires with the NILs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like the transition to what football has become, is that why there's a younger like yourself, very attractive, like Ryan said, but is that why there's a younger coaching trend right now? Because it's very different. And I don't think those old school guys could deal with what they're dealing with now.
Yeah, I can't answer that. I don't know why that is, but it seems like there is a lot of younger guys. Yeah. I'm not so young anymore, being I'm 45. So, I mean, to some that might be young, but I think when I got hired, I was one of the younger guys in the league. But now it's like, holy cow, there's a lot of young guys getting hired in their 30s, and now I feel like a vet a little bit. But yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting time just in all college sports, the NFL, getting these guys that have had different experiences. I mean, can you imagine playing ball and getting paid a 7-figure salary?
I couldn't, Coach. In college?
In college football?
No.
I mean, it's a pretty incredible, and that's great for those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing I always tell our rookies when they first come in, I said, you know what the difference between college and NFL is? There's no portal. So if you're not happy with your situation, you better do something about it. You better work harder. You better study more. But it's on you to make it right.
Yeah. Hey, Freddie T, how old is the GM down where you are?
James?
34.
39, is it? 35?
Yeah,
he's young.
He's like 34.
I was with James my first year in LA with Sean McVay. James was, he was 20-some years old. Yeah. It's pretty impressive what he's been able to do in a short period of time.
Right now, they're doing their thing down there. But, Coach, I wanted to ask, you're talking about your age, man. You're still a pup. But
because he's old as hell, Coach.
Fred, how old are you now?
I'm 49.
No, you're still.
I'm right where I need to be.
You're still on the plus side, man.
I'd rather be old than cold. You feel me? But no, seriously, what ages you the most? Is it losing, Pro Bowlers and potential Hall of Famers, or going through the draft process, the evaluating, the transactions that you guys have to make throughout? Like, what stresses you the most in this business?
The thing that stresses me the most is the unknown, because inevitably it happens. Every day something pops across your desk that it can surprise you, and it's just navigating those. And I think there's a lot of value with going through those experiences, because the more you go through them, the less they really surprise you. But I know that every day to expect the unexpected.
Right. Wow.
What's the transition from the standpoint of you have an Aaron Rodgers?
You guys stop calling me Coach. Just call me Matt.
So here's the thing.
It makes me feel better.
So here's what's
It
crazy.
makes me feel better.
If you ask them, I actually just call everybody Coach.
Okay.
Yeah, like I call him
Call
Coach.
me Coach.
Yeah, it's just a thing I do.
I'm gonna run 0 blitzes the whole time.
Like you come in, you have Aaron Rodgers, and so there is that sort of melding of the minds, right? Where, I remember being an older player, things became a conversation throughout the week. You know, I was no longer being talked at, I was being talked with and spoken to and spoken with, right? And so, but then you move to Jordan and even to Malik, and now you're not only expected to be able to scheme in a way that helps these young players, you have to develop them. What was the transition in your mindset in coaching once you had to make the change at quarterback?
Well, I'd say it was a lot different. Certainly, when you come into a situation, I don't think many people knew who I was. I mean, it's not like we were breaking records when I was the 1 year's play calling OC in Tennessee. I think a lot of people were surprised that they chose me to come coach this team. And so, yeah, you're absolutely working with, especially when you have an established team, you got a more veteran team. Mm-hmm. You're going to allow them to do some of the things that they're comfortable with, that they've had success with, if it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it did. So, I mean, you're just trying to work with, and I can tell you this, the playbook we came in with and the playbook we ended with were drastically different. Right. But it was a process, and the first year was definitely learning each other. And the second year, that offseason, we spent a lot of time kind of dissecting and going through everything and kind of creating our own version of what we wanted to become. Then the transition to Jordan, and just not even him, it's just the whole team was a lot younger. There was a transition period and a learning period that came with that experience as well. But certainly you better stand on some principles and try to teach those guys the why behind what you're trying to get done.
And Coach, that dynamic, the head coach that calls plays, it's been done for decades. But now it seems like it's bigger. And I think people criticize it, especially when you're not having the success where, oh, he should be doing this, or he should be clock managing, he shouldn't be calling. But it seems like you and all your boys, we've had dinner together before. You know,
oh, yeah.
KO and, you know, all those guys, you McVay and all those guys that call plays. Like, what would you say to people that criticize because they look at a head coach like he should be this decision-making over guy. He shouldn't be worried about 2nd and 6. But you're worried about 2nd and 6.
Well, you got to be worried about every situation out there. Yeah. So I personally, I think there's a lot of advantages to it. It's just, how do you divvy your time up throughout the course of the day and the course of the week? I think that's always interesting, and those are the conversations that I have with like guys like Sean and Kyle and other guys that are just totally immersed in calling plays. I think a lot of the clock management situations come natural, a little bit more natural for offensive guys than no offense to the defensive guys.
Don't take a shot at defense, Coach.
I think it's part of it, especially playing the quarterback position my whole life, you know, from high school to college. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that you're always thinking about in those moments. So then I got a guy that upstairs that helps me, Connor Lewis, in some of those high stress moments, and he does a great job with that. But basically, the bottom line, there's always going to be criticism, especially when it doesn't go your way. That's why I don't like to listen to a lot of outside noise. I like to just know in my heart that I feel like our process is right, and you just dive into your process, and you're constantly evaluating your process, but you can't allow that outside noise to affect what you do.
Now, I just wanted to know, like, 6 years in, I mean, you have a 67-33 record, 67% win rate. Does that do anything to you, or how was it once you got to coach your 100th game? What was that moment like?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I feel like these last 6 years have been a freaking blur. Yeah. I mean, you're just so busy every day, and I can't believe I'm sitting here going into year 7 already. It just feels like I just got here, you know? But you're so busy all the time, and you're constantly making decisions. That's why I love it when I'm off or when I'm away from the facility. I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, I'm tired of making decisions. You got to make the decision. But I think just the more your just brain is going all the time, sometimes it's hard to sit there and sit back and reflect and enjoy what you're kind of going through.
Yeah, Coach, 10 stops, 15 years. One of those stops was Atlanta. You know, and I know you were Matty Ice when you quarterbacked.
Sure.
You also got to coach Matt Ryan, and it's an MVP season. You guys are up 28-3.
Oh, God.
You guys are up 28-3 in the Super Bowl, and it came to me, though, because you talked about clock management and defensive coaches, offensive coaches. There was a defensive head coach in Dan Quinn, but a staff full of future head coaches offensively. What is something that you took from that game that was something that's a lesson that you kept with you forward as you continue to ascend in the coaching ranks?
Yeah, I can remember that pretty vividly, the situation. And that's one of those things. Matter of fact, it's ironic that you bring that up because I was talking to Isaiah Simmons today and I met his mother and she lives in Atlanta. And I was talking about how I was a part of that staff and when we lost that Super Bowl. I just think that in that moment, and we played this way the entire season, I've said this before, is we played really aggressive. And that's what got us to where we were. Mm-hmm. Now, hindsight's 2020. You would think that in that situation now, just hand the ball 3 times, kick the field goal, or get a first down, whatever it may be.
Right.
But I think a lot of that factors into when we play games. I'm always thinking about the number of possessions that either you're up or you're down, and how that impacts with how much time's left on the clock.
Coach, I've talked about it a number of times on the show. Paul Pasqualoni. I won't say the coach's name, Paul Pasqualoni. He made me cover like Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, and they destroyed me for 100 yards. And I couldn't sleep that night. As a coach, like after that Super Bowl, whatever, you're calling plays, how much does that affect you mentally? Because I remember good games are mediocre games. I'll go out partying, I'll go to Tootsie's, I'll have me a good time. But if I know that I lost, in my mind, I lost that game for my teammates, I could not sleep that night. How much would a game like the Super Bowl affect you?
Oh, it's something that I was talking about earlier today. It 100% is in your mind. That's something that's never going to escape you. I think our job as coaches is to do the best job possible of putting our players in the best position so you're not guarding Antonio Gates and give up 100 yards or whatever you gave up.
Would you ever let me guard Antonio Gates?
Well, I'm guessing you guys were in quarters coverage. You were the quarter flat player, and he was working the slot.
They would go trips slot, and he was backside, and they moved the fullback over, and then they move him back around, and they'd make sure the safety rolls.
Sure.
And to see if the safety goes down on the side, so now they know that now I'm covering Tony Gonzalez in Atlanta, and it was ugly.
Yeah, well.
Light skin on light skin crime, bro.
No, it wasn't. It was light skin, one way light skin crime because I could not cover that man because he was amazing.
He was amazing. Probably still could play.
He looked good.
The past couple of years, you guys have had the best record in the NFL since you've taken over. We hear about the tradition, Lambeau, the mystique, all of that. But the culture, what's you guys' identity?
Yeah, well, I think it all starts with the people that you have in your building. And fortunately for us, I always believe in terms of hiring coaches, give me the person first, give me the coach second, because adversity's coming our way. And I think Goody, our GM, operates, in that same mindset of trying to get high character guys in here that compete to be the best that they can be. Because every year is a challenge. Every day is a challenge in the National Football League. And you got to have guys that are going to be willing to endure those challenges. I think one of the hardest things to do is I think football is the ultimate team sport. I mean, you got 53 men, 48 on game day, 11 on each phase of the ball, and they all want theirs. And how do you get everybody to operate as one in what's best for the team? And I think we've seen it here just with teams that we've had a lot of success with. There's more accolades that are passed out amongst the players. So, but I always think it starts with getting the right people in place. There's a lot of conversation that goes throughout the course of, the player acquisition process, whether it's the draft process or whether it's in free agency.
You have your philosophy, your style, and how you like to operate and run your offense and, team. Do you look at best player? You look at guys that fit your system and might have a chance to excel. Do they come to you and say, Coach, I think this guy will be a great fit in what you do? Like what's that thought process from the front office to your desk? And then you get into those conversations.
Yeah, I think that's, you're obviously going to look at guys that you feel can fit what you do. But I also think that if you get a guy that's talented enough as a coach, you better fit what they do and put them in position. And I think that we got some guys that can adapt, I would say, based on whatever players that we bring in. I just want good people that love ball. I mean, you guys all love ball. That's why you became who you became. And you get guys that love ball, their odds are they're going to reach whatever their potential may be. Yeah. So give me the talented guy that loves ball, we'll make it work.
Yeah. Coach, when you're a player, you become a fan of other players. I would spend the off season and I'd watch Ed Reed, I'd watch Bob Sanders. I wanted to see what they were doing to affect the game. And I always see you guys speak so highly of one another when you're talking about the head coaches in this league. Within your division, you have some of the best in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, Dan Campbell, you have KO, and then now Ben Johnson, who becomes the new head coach in Chicago. When you think about those challenges that you face from a head coaching position, how excited are you about what the NFC North will be this year?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. There's no doubt about it. And we get to start off week 1 versus Detroit right here.
Yeah.
You can't have nothing but respect for all 3 of those guys. What Dan's been able to do, I mean, shoot, they went through some struggle now, his first 2 years, and then I think the turning point for them was when we went there and they beat us, and things were not looking great for them, but they found a way to beat us. Ben Johnson's been doing a great job as a play caller for multiple years now, and it really put Detroit in a position to they were the favorites to probably go to the Super Bowl. But Kevin O'Connell, you can't have nothing but respect with what he's been able to do with the number of quarterbacks that he's had to play throughout that process.
Yeah, Coach, when you mentioned quarterbacks, obviously everything comes down in our league to quarterbacks, right? When we talk about the pantheon of greatness, it's about how you affect your team's ability to win football games. Jordan has had extreme highs here. There's been some lows in certain situations. When you are thinking about his progression, what do you need from Jordan Love this year in order to help the Green Bay Packers reach their potential?
We just need him to go out there and play consistent ball and play to the level that I know that both he and I know he's capable of playing at. So I think a lot of attention is unfairly placed on the quarterback, but that comes with the territory. So you got to take the good with the bad. And it's not just solely on him. You better have guys around him that can come and play. And I think that's why you see a lot of quarterbacks in this league that are young guys that come in to not the best situations and they fail.
Yep.
It's because the guys around them maybe aren't to that level. Fortunately for us, I feel like we've got a lot of pieces around him. And I take a lot of responsibility when things don't work out for him. Like, that's on me. So we got to do a good job as a staff to put these guys in positions where they're out there making plays.
You brought up Kevin O'Connell, KO. One of the coolest nights of my life was sitting around at the owners' meeting with you, Raheem Morris.
Surprised you remember that night.
I was banged up a little bit, man. You, Raheem Morris, Sean McVay, and we're sitting around, and I'm just hearing y'all talk about football. And it's like some of the greatest minds in the world of football. Like that tree, because there's coaches that don't have coaching trees. Mike McDaniel is one of your buddies too. Why is that coaching tree so successful right now? Why are y'all smarter at football than other people are smarter?
Well, I don't know about that, but it's a great question. What's so incredible to me is when you look back. So, when we were in Washington together, we got Mike Shanahan, who's a Super Bowl
Winner.
two-time Super Bowl winning head coach, should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Kyle Shanahan is our OC. You had myself as the quarterback coach. You had Sean McVay as the tight end coach, and you had Raheem Morris as our defensive back coach. And we all got fired. So
You weren't that good at your job.
I've always said, show me a good coach, and I'll show you some good players. Yeah. So, let's not get that twisted. You better have some Jimmies and Joes to go out there and execute whatever it is that you're trying to dial up.
There are coaches that have coaches under them or people in their staff that can't do what you and Mike, Kyle in San Fran, they can't do what y'all have done. They can't be, y'all all went on to be successful. Damn, I'm from Mike McDaniels, they're throwing up 29 points a game if two is healthy. Sure. Y'all are very good. Raheem is an amazing coach. Is there anything to it, or is it the people, or is it the tree?
I think it's a lot of the values that we learned along the way from guys like Mike Shanahan about having standards and trying to hold everybody to that standard. It's more about the process, I would say personally, because Raheem will tell you that he's an offensive guy, but he's really a defensive guy.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there's something to our systems and how we think about concepts, but I think it's more than that. I think it's about the process and having standards and having accountability, having the discipline that you need to go out there to be your best.
Even then, when you guys were assistants, did you have conversations like, we're going to take the next step to all become head coaches? And if so, what was that conversation like? How often do you guys look forward to those owner meetings so you can get together and kind of look back and say, man, we've come a long way? For
myself, I never wanted these problems, to be honest with you. I never wanted to be a head coach. It just kind of fell in my lap. And
nah, we're not buying it.
I'm just telling you.
We're not buying it.
I didn't want it necessarily, at least at the time. That wasn't even part of my thought process, to be honest with you. I was always trying to be the best quarterback coach I could be. My dad being a Mid-American Conference coach, my whole goal in the coaching profession was I want to get to the MAC but before I'm 30 years old, and here I am in the National Football League. So it really wasn't a part of it. It wasn't until I went to LA to be with Sean McVay and kind of get a front row seat and just see everything that went across his desk. And it was very eye-opening for me, and I learned a lot from it, is when my mind started to shift a little bit in terms of hey, I might want this for myself as well. Some of those guys I knew. I mean, obviously Raheem had already been a head coach, and he comes to Washington. I knew Sean the first time I met him. I was like, this guy's going to be a head coach someday. I knew Kyle was on that track. For myself, I guess I always looked at those guys in a different light than I did myself. But that pushed me to be better because I was always striving to be like those guys. And I think collectively we always kind of pushed each other, and we were better for it. I mean, competition brings out the best in you. You guys know it as players. That's why I love having a competitive roster, and they're like, hey, there's a lot of bodies at that position. Well, good. We'll find out who the cream always rises to the top, so to speak. So, but I do think we kind of challenged each other in a lot of ways to become better.
Who used to win the hoop games, Coach?
Well, it depends who you ask.
Yeah, right. Well, according to Raheem, before the knees, it was him. I know you and Kyle used to hoop in Houston too. So who's the best hooper of the group?
It just depends what you're looking for. If you're asking about who's the best shooter, I would definitely say myself. Raheem, he's more of a post player, even though he's only 6 foot tall.
You're right. Coach, I'm in Louisiana, and this is a very individually selfish question. Our head coach at my alma mater is someone you work with in more than one occasion.
Sure.
Left Notre Dame as the winningest head coach there. Every spot he went to became a better team. What were some of the things you took from Brian Kelly in your time working with him, I think it was Central Michigan, also at Notre Dame, that has helped you be a better coach?
My BK stories go back to when I was probably in 5th or 6th grade. So my dad used to run the summer camps at Central Michigan, and BK would always come down, and he was coaching at Grand Valley at the time, and he would coach the quarterbacks. So I've known him for a long time. Matter of fact, I tried to go to school, or after high school, I wanted to go to Grand Valley, and BK, I guess he didn't think I was good enough, so he didn't offer me. I would say one of his best qualities is, I mean, everybody, when he's around, sits up a little bit straighter, and there's an urgency about how you go about your business when he's around. And I think the other thing that he did an unbelievable job with is, because I remember our time at Central Michigan, he always made our team feel better than what we probably were. And I think that confidence that you go out and play with, which is so critical, whether you're playing football or just in life in general, he just had a way of just making you feel like you could conquer anything.
Coaching, when Shanahan was talking about the coaching tree, he said, what is it? Is it the people? Is it the strategy, the conversations? I think, at least me, the best coaches I've been around, they have been smart football people, but they've been good people to work with. They've been good people to talk to. I felt like, I felt like I could walk into Raheem's office and say, hey, look, this is what I'm feeling today. Whether it was personal, whether it was professional. What are some of the things you look for in the people that you hire? Not necessarily, coach, the X's and O's of it, but this is a man I'm gonna have to be in the trenches with for the next some odd weeks trying to win a championship. What sort of people do you want to work with?
I want high character. I want guys that are going to be truthful, that are always going to tell you maybe not what you want to hear, but are going to be honest with you. And I think for me, just when I interview somebody or go through that process, a lot of times in the interview process, you can get fooled. And some of the best hires that I've made have been some of the worst interviews, and vice versa. Some of the worst hires were some of the better interviews. So I think a lot of it is you lean on people that you trust within the business that have worked with somebody, because you really don't know until you work with somebody. Yeah, I personally value high character guys that are going to be truth tellers. Especially in this seat, you don't always. Sometimes people are afraid to tell you the truth.
How are those conversations, Coach, with your staff? Like, do you have, because everybody always says, you know what, I don't want yes men, right? And then you get around people and you're not a yes man, and then you realize, oh damn, you actually did want a yes man, right? You didn't want someone to hold you accountable. You didn't want someone to say, hey, Coach, when we made this decision, it wasn't the right decision, or going forward, Coach, we should probably move this way, have those conversations. How are you with the people close to you in your circle when they're telling you, hey, Matt, like in this situation, you may not be correct?
Oh, that's happened here with us for sure, where, you get mad at somebody, and football is a game of emotion, and we all care about what we do, and we're all competitors, and there's a lot of alphas involved in this game, and there's been some heated conversations that I've had with some of our assistants at times where they're like, hey, what, you want me to be a yes man? And I was like, it kind of checks you. And you're like, you know what? You're right. And you try to learn from every situation, and you keep it moving.
Is that dictatorship thing leaving football? Because the college part of it, I see, because it's 18-year-olds. But it seems like the NFL is changing. To Ryan's point, it's like we're coworkers. I'm not this guy telling you what to do. We're coworkers. Have you seen that transition as you've been coaching for so many years?
Yeah, I would say so. And I think I made that mistake when I went back to Notre Dame to work with BK, where you probably give a little. You're used to the NFL environment, and you give a little too much onus to a 20-year-old guy that doesn't know enough at the time. So, yeah, I think one thing I always tell our guys, whether it's coaches or players, I'll always listen. Now, we may agree to disagree, because ultimately, I know I have a responsibility to do what I believe is best for our team in every situation. So it's not like It's not like I want to go out there and lose. I want to win, and I want to do whatever it takes to help our guys be their best and put us in the best possible situation. And sometimes, you always appreciate when people are able to come up and talk to you and bring things up and make you aware. But you may agree to disagree, and we got to be comfortable with that.
First time Dom Capers asked me what my favorite blitz was, and I was like, "Oh, inside zone," and he said, "That's not going to work." I said, "Okay, coach. Well, do what the fuck you want to do. I don't." You asked me what I love. I love the wheel to go and I can wrap around. Yeah. So.
Matt, are you a yes man to analytics, or your gut instinct still running the show?
I'm always a gut guy, but I appreciate the analytics. You have to take them. You have to take them into account. I just think it makes you more aware of whatever it is you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay. NFC Championship. It's still early on in your head coaching career. It's the red zone. I think it's like 2:09 left. You decide to kick a field goal. Unlike most coaches, you came back and said, looking at that situation, I may have handled it differently. A lot of other coaches don't really reflect on things in hindsight and show that level of humanity. What was it about that situation that made you, I guess, be honest enough and aware enough within yourself to say, hey, look, I'm looking at close to 2 minutes. We're in the red zone. We got one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever lived. Maybe next time I'll go for it.
Well, hindsight's always 20/20. Yeah. So I think at the time I thought it was the aggressive play because I was like, all right, let's kick the field goal now. Our defense was balling that whole second half.
Yeah.
And we were taking the ball away. We had a couple timeouts left, or at least one timeout left. I thought we were going to get the ball back and have a chance to go score and win the game. But hindsight's 20/20. It didn't work out. So, of course, you would be like, well, if I know something's not going to work out, I'd go for it.
But you don't know that in the moment.
You
You're
don't.
just going with
and
your gut.
That's why you're going with your gut.
Yeah.
And I think analytically it was a toss-up whether or not you wanted to go for it or you kicked the field goal and hope to get a stop. And, we had them in a situation where it was third down and we got called for a DPI or a defensive holding or whatever it was that allowed them to get the first down and run that clock out. And it's still, that's one of the moments I'll never forget because it was a painful moment.
We, in the last 3.5 years, we've sat down with numerous amounts of people, majority players from various sports, and we've also had some coaches on the show. We never really we check in with the players, but we've never checked in with a coach. Like, we look at you guys and we think, oh, these guys are good. They're built a certain way. They got everything. They're solid. But when you're talking, mental health, because we always express to players, look, go sit down with somebody. Check in with us, check in with somebody else. And Ryan came up with these three questions that he would ask just to kind of follow up. Are you all right? Are you okay? Do you need anything? When was the last time somebody asked you that?
Yeah, it's been a while. Maybe my wife. But, that's, fortunately for us, I feel like we got a really good staff. Rich Bisaccia he'll always come and ask me, hey, you all right? Mm-hmm. And I always appreciate that. But I would say it doesn't happen often.
Coach, do you feel like in this current sort of era of people wanting men to feel their feelings, that there's different ways you have to be aware of what your players are going through in real life and how you handle them and sort of check in on them to make sure they're in a place to be as great as they can be in football as well?
Yeah, I'm a big believer. If your life and everything is good off the field, you got the best chance to be your best version on the field. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big deal. And that's where I think the position coaches and others in the room are so imperative. We have a leadership council here as well. Hey, is everything all right with every guy on the team? Because a lot of these guys are going through things that you might not be aware of, and it affects their ability to go out and play. So the more awareness there is and the more you got people that can give you a heads up of what's going on, I think that's critical.
And not only say not to that point, Coach, But don't you need some dudes, because I speak for myself. Don't you need some dudes that's been locked up a couple times? Because that's one thing now I think about football. I think it's getting a lot very pleasant. Where you don't need 53 monsters. But don't you got a couple guys that when we saw the fight today. We were actually in Indy. When you got, I could see the guys that are running off the sideline that had nothing to do with the fight. Don't you need some edge still in football?
Oh yeah, you need edge.
Okay, because I would say I'm not gonna say any name, but I could. If you give me your roster, I'll highlight the guys that I know that's ready to go.
You always want some edge.
Okay.
I mean, an edge will push you.
Yes.
You know,
Coach, would you want a running back that's never been in an on-field fight, Coach? Like, no matter, like, would you want a running back
Never fought in his life.
that's never been in a fight?
It depends who that running back is.
He might run a 4-2.
I'll take that. I'll take that guy.
Coach, I was smart enough to know. Hey, listen, and I played for Coach Tom Coughlin.
He's a hard
if you
ass,
run
man.
off the bench, he fine you.
Yeah.
And again, we needed me to be available. No broken
no doubt
wrists
about
and
it.
hands. I had to hold the ball. I ain't running out there. We got the guy. We got Channing Crowder's on the team.
Yeah, no-
He gonna make it happen. But
Hey, don't let them shame you. You did
I'm
pretty
not.
damn
See,
good.
because this is where we go. Because we also had a conversation about as much of a bully he claims to have been on the field. He said he'll run up on a gorilla. With that whole gorilla conversation, I can beat a gorilla. I can get a crew.
He ain't beating a gorilla.
Okay,
I'm just throwing it out there.
That's one thing.
Coach.
And you know why?
I get 99 other dudes to help me though. 100 men.
But
He just
said,
Coach, 100?
he said he's going
They
first.
might get him, but you be dead.
Exactly. Hey, he said him, and he introduced me to his homeboy. What's his name?
Brian Crumb.
He got a homeboy, him, they catch alligators, so he was like, me and Brian Crumb, we're gonna go first. And I was like, you and Brian Crumb ass gonna be dead.
Yeah, no doubt.
Out the gate.
I died one time on Saturday night. Played on Sunday, Coach.
But Coach, this is the kicker. We visited my old squad in Jacksonville. We did a 225-pound bench press competition. You look like you're in great shape. You can get 225 at least once, right?
I tore my pec a year ago.
Well,
so-
you got an excuse.
I told my back too, Coach.
Oh,
He did half a rep, 0.5. 0.5, linebacker, Mr. Fighter, want to run up on somebody.
Coach, I hit
there's
30
different between weightlifting strong and fighting strong.
Judge you. I agree.
You see that, Coach?
I thought we was good offense. Ready,
I
great,
did
great,
30.
great.
I did.
Don't put
I
gas
did
on this
32 in Indy when I was 21 years old. I'm 40 years old, Coach. What the hell I need to lift all these fucking weights for, man? And why? What am I doing this for? This is ridiculous.
Coach, the thing I loved about last year, and I tried to get you to talk good about yourself when we came here with Sports Center, right? I was like, man, I'm gonna ask Coach this question. This is gonna like lead right into my push for Matt LaFleur as a better coach than we give him credit for. And then you started talking about your run game coordinator and you pissed me off, messed up my whole question. There's been a resurgence in running backs. And a big part of that was Saquon Barkley going to Philadelphia. We watched Derrick Henry and what he was, someone you coach, what he was able to do in Baltimore. But also here in Green Bay, it was Josh Jacobs. And to me, the creativity in which you utilized motion, shifts, different ways of putting the football in his hands, allowed him to show some things I hadn't seen from him in Vegas or at Alabama. What did the addition of Josh do for this team?
That was a different transition than I anticipated because, you're moving on from a guy like Aaron Jones and then you're going to Josh Jacobs. And I'll tell you what, both those guys are about as good as humans as you're ever going to be around. And the thing that was Josh is he's a battering ram, man. And he can handle an incredible workload. And that's one of the things I think I was always cautious with because they're built a little bit different. But I've been a big believer of you need multiple backs in this league because you don't want to get a guy banged up. What I learned real quick with Josh, it really don't matter. You can just keep handing him the rock.
Right.
And as the season progressed, we kept doing that. And he didn't disappoint because that guy, I don't think there's anything he can't do.
Yeah, and it was great to see that. And so now, Coach, you're sitting in this place, and I was talking earlier, and we were talking about coaches of the year. You know, Kevin Stefanski has a coach of the year. Mike Tomlin, ironically, does not. You know, and so it was like, okay,
He's the model of consistency.
right, just
too.
the model of consistency, right? But even with him, it gets to, okay, what are you doing in the playoffs, right? 19 years, 18 years, no losing record, but playoff success has eluded him in the last decade. You know, for you guys have this amazing run 2 years ago. You batter Dallas. You're up in the second half against the San Francisco 49ers. You lose. Have a chance against the Eagles this year, which last year, and people aren't even talking about how well your team performed in that game. What is it going to take to get over that playoff hump and get Titletown back to the place it wants to be?
I think for us, it's when you have opportunities, you got to make the plays, you got to make the calls, you got to put the guys in the right spot. And unfortunately, I mean, last year you mentioned that game. I mean, it's 16-10 in the fourth quarter, and we got to get a stop. We don't get a stop, and then we turn the ball over, and there you have it. I just think when you're in those moments, because every game or most of the games in the playoffs are going to come down to a handful of plays.
Yep. One possession.
When
game.
you have those opportunities, we got to make the play. Bottom line, and how we do that, obviously, I don't know yet. But we got to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's on all of us. It's on us as coaches. It's on us as players. Like somebody got to do something to get us over the top.
Coach, I got to go back to the running back thing. Well, you have Josh Jacobs is a monster.
We had him on the show. He was awesome.
He was awesome, but
There's not too many guys that have gone through what Josh Jacobs has gone through, and he is so consistent in who he is on the field, off the field. What a leader.
It's awesome.
He is exactly what you want, whether it's a running back or whatever position it may be.
Yeah.
He is the epitome to me, of a guy that you want as a leader.
You said that where you don't want to get guys banged up, and it's something we had David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs on recently, and I was asking him, like, what if I gave you 360 touches? Because that's what Saquon Barkley did in Philly. And it seems like the league is swinging back towards that. So to have a Josh Jacobs, and I know the league is progressing and all the RPO stuff and all that, how hard is it? Because I played with Danian Tomlinson power. Out in San Diego, they're going to run the power 20 times a game. Adrian Peterson, Marshawn Lynch in Buffalo, they're going to get the ball 30 times a game.
Sure.
By the fourth quarter, you don't want to get another stinger. You don't want to see that anymore.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So like that is what's the transition of what football is, because you have a dog in the backfield and you're seeing what other teams are doing. So everybody wants to do this wide open 5 wide stuff.
Not me.
I know you want to line it up. Are you that was kind of my question.
Have you seen the tight ends?
It's football.
They can go 12 here.
Is football going back to when we played? I'm 40. All of us are, well, Fred's 20 years older than you. But we're a little young. You're like, is football sliding back that way? Because now you're seeing the teams, you bring up Dan Campbell, where they're running downhill. Is football going back that way?
I think it's all dependent upon the makeup of your team and who you're playing. Some teams are better at defending the run, and you better loosen that box by whether it's spreading them out or throwing the football. But when you have a guy that's capable of running in there versus an 8-man box, you keep giving him the rock, however you can. I don't care if it's in the run game or in the pass game. And Josh is certainly capable out of the backfield. And, he caught his first receiving touchdown last year, which is kind of incredible to think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Josh,
Took 5 years, but he finally got one.
He got around the right coach.
No, I don't know about that.
he's one of my favorite. I do want to say, when we were here for the draft doing Josh, you said expect the unexpected. We did not expect Green Bay, Wisconsin to show up and show out like they did for the NFL draft. It was crazy. The energy outside was amazing. So really, this is my shout out to Green Bay, man. Y'all do football right up here.
Yeah, the people here are pretty incredible.
Yeah, they do.
What's so amazing to me is throughout, I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of people coming into Green Bay, which we all know there's not enough places to stay, but there was one arrest throughout the entire weekend. I mean, how many places can say that?
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, you have it in the NO. It's going to be more than that, Coach, if it's in New Orleans.
Bourbon Street's it's a different animal.
Yeah,
I've been down there a few times.
Yeah, it's going to be.
I think I got locked up.
There is an open space for a trophy here in the new locker room or the new.
You're giving some insight in between or behind our facility.
Yeah, in the new space here, Coach. I feel like the best of teams, the best of organizations, they're very intentional about what they do. And when there's an open space in Titletown, it's only one thing that's supposed to go in that space, and that's a Lombardi trophy. What was sort of the thought process in that? Because it could be seen in different ways.
Yeah, I just want our guys to kind of start with the end in mind. And that is the ultimate team goal. You hoist a Lombardi trophy, I mean, you'll be remembered forever. And that is something that nobody can take away from you. And when you die, people will remember your name. That's your legacy. So that is kind of the thought process behind trying to tease everybody with that's what we're hunting. And it's not just going to happen. Mm-hmm. You got to earn it, and you better work to get that each and every day.
You know what's crazy, Coach, is people are scared, though. Like, people are scared to set an expectation of excellence, right? Because so many people want to have, like, this level of fake modesty, this level of fake humility, and they're also so scared of failure, right? Like, I remember walking into camp every year in Latrobe. That's what we talked about. We talked about we're coming to practice, we're coming to work, we are assembling, we're putting everything into the middle of the table to go win the championship. And it's okay to tell a team that that's the goal, and if we don't reach that goal, then we haven't been good enough. And I think so many times now, like, these teams are like trying to hedge their bets, and everybody wants to be, it's like this gentle parenting and gentle coaching. No, man, like, we don't get paid to show up and play. We get paid to win football games, which is why when you don't win games, you lose your job. And so I just want to say, as someone who felt that way every year walking into a stadium, every year walking into practice, that is the right thing to do. To set your intentions on being the absolute best and expecting that from yourself and from the people in your locker room. And I just wanted to say personally, I love the fact that you as an organization were bold enough to do that.
I appreciate that.
No, real talk, Coach.
Starting with the end in mind, you know, whether it be a season or your career, you don't look back until then. You realize what it took to get there. I talk to a lot of guys all the time about that.
Yeah.
Don't think that you've made it until it's done. Then you get to look back and really enjoy the process and the work that you put out. But even with that, I do want to get to the biggest pivot question, which is, what's your biggest pivot? That's that one moment you can look back on and say, because this happened to me or for me, I am who I am today.
That's a great question. I've been fortunate to be around a lot of great people throughout my, growing up. Obviously, my parents, they instilled a lot of values that I think are essential to being successful and being a good human. So I was very fortunate for that. And then being around all these coaches, you mentioned guys like Brian Kelly, Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, Dan Quinn. Gary Kubiak was the first guy that hired me in this league. So I've been around a lot of guys. Sean McVay, a dear friend of mine, Raheem, so many good people. But I think the moment that changed me, I'm talking about my coaching career, is after Atlanta, not getting, being on that staff and really not being promoted, and going to LA to be Sean McVay's coordinator. That made me do a lot of soul searching of why did that not happen. And it made me work a little bit harder at the areas that I knew I was coming up short in. So I would say, just from a professional standpoint,
I love that.
That was my biggest pivot.
That's dope, Coach. Now, here's my last question. who's the tougher coach, your mom or your dad? Because then your mom coached like cheer and track.
Yeah.
Coach, cheer and track first off, is vicious,
Sure.
right? So who was the tougher coach, your mom or your dad?
Without a doubt, my mom. And here's a funny story. So obviously, you mentioned Mount Pleasant earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm in Saginaw Valley Hall of Fame. I'm in, ironically enough, you never mentioned the Omaha Beef, but I am in the Omaha Beef of the NIFL Hall of Fame. I am still not in the Mount Pleasant Athletic Hall of Fame. However, my mother is in the Mount Pleasant Athletic Hall of Fame, as well as my sister-in-law.
Okay.
So the joke in our family is I got my brother, who's the offensive coordinator for the Rams. Him and I are not in the Mount Pleasant Athletic Hall of Fame. So that's the goal. That's the next goal.
Gotta keep grinding, coach.
But
Your mom don't have a vote now, Coach? Because she's in?
I guess not. Or they're doing that on purpose. They're keeping us
keeping you
out.
hungry, yeah.
They're keeping us out. But without a doubt, my dad was a coach, so he was always working, and it was my mom that when my mom would bark at us, you better listen. And if not, Dad was coming home and you're going to feel the wrath. But I would say my mom was the tougher coach for sure.
Coach, you and I could be wrong with the numbers, but I think it was 10 stops in 15 years in coaching.
That was a lot.
And you talked about your boys being 14 and 12. I think Ty and Luke, are their name. But we all know if we're gonna accomplish anything in this, we gotta be so comfortable that family is taken care of at home. You got to go back home and you met your wife and you guys get married. How much do you have to lean on her in order to do this job?
Yeah, a lot. She takes care of everything. So that allows me to focus on my job. Yeah. So, and luckily we got some people in the building that take care of me too.
Yeah.
But my wife, in terms of taking care of everything at home, she always messes with me and she's like, you're not even the emergency contact for our kids. My assistant, Joe McKillop, is.
Yeah, Joe.
So Joe takes care of me at work. And my wife, she takes care of everything at home. But I couldn't do what I do without her.
Man, we asked Marcus Freeman the first time we sat with him. We said, hey, Coach, how do you figure out a work-life balance? And he's like, there is no balance. He was honest, He said we try to have a blend. He's like, if she can bring the kids here so I could see them. He's like, we try to spend some times when I get home a little earlier in the week. He's like, we have a day, but he's like, honestly, it's a blend of trying to figure out how to do both. He said, but this job, if I want to do it the right way, if I want to sow into the people the way I need to, it's going to take a lot of my time. And I know you've done the same thing for years and years. And I believe, Coach, that the way that you've continued to build this program, what you did last year and just offensively changing the creativity, I think you should get a lot more credit for who you are as a coach than you do. I'm definitely going to sing your praises when they need to be sang. Man, we appreciate you for your time. Best of luck.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
That definitely, there is no balance. And that's why I'm not a college coach, because we get a few weeks off in the summertime, and that's when you just pour into your family. That's one of my favorite times of the year, man, is just being at my lake house with my wife, with my boys, doing a little wake surfing.
Yeah.
Little e-foiling.
Yeah.
And that's a great time, though.
We caught that little flex too, though, Coach. Lake House. You caught it too. Hey, you caught it too.
Not Lake House.
Subtle flex. Subtle flex.
Hey, he didn't hit him with the, we get a rental. He was like, me and the boys, little wakeboarding at the lake house.
Behind the boat.
Subtle flex.
Appreciate you.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. Fred does?
That was awesome.
Okay. Coach, you need to? Man, appreciate you, Coach. That was really good, man. That was really fun.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On the vision, I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got pin in it. I I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm finna get me up.